She was using the boys' names for food stamps benefits, but they weren't living with her. They lived with me their whole life.
Even though that's what you're saying now, the children lived with you their whole lives, you were still ordered to pay support back in February of 2012. The state was understanding the parents who have agreed that children were with father since 2017, and so there would be possession credits up to that point. However, the state has provided to the court and sent out to the parties its payment history reflecting what Mr. Hernandez was ordered to have paid since the prior order was done in 2012. As well as a school letter it appears the father provided and an affidavit of possession claiming that the children were with him for longer. Going forward, Your Honor, the state has calculated support for each parent to pay the other depending on what the court ultimately rules. However, the children do appear to be with Mr. Hernandez and covered through government medical through his spouse at this time. And I do not believe, Your Honor, unless I hear something very different in the testimony that I didn't negotiate, I'm not sure that a final order would be appropriate today.
All right, here's the thing, Ms. Villarreal. You're not a lawyer. I get it, ma'am. Fortunately, I am. And under Texas Family Code, if you voluntarily gave him those kids for longer than 6 months, then he has the absolute right to ask the court to change the custody over him, change the status, what the state calls it. It's just a change of custody technically. And the burden of proof falls on you to show why I should not do it. Okay. The burden of proof is the only burden of proof he has to meet that it was a voluntary circumstance and he's had them for 6 months or longer. And then the law says it's up to you to show why I should not order that everything remain as is and order you to pay child support, so forth, so going forward. And I can make this a temporary order to give you the opportunity to go out and seek your own legal counsel. But ma'am, like I said, the burden now falls on you and or if you had a lawyer, your lawyer to show why the court should not change the status at this time.
The state calls Mr. Hernandez. Sir, what is your full name?
Cruz, Justin Hernandez.
Who are the children in this case?
It's Mike Jake Hernandez and Cruz J Hernandez.
How are you related to those two children?
I'm their father.
Who is the mother of these two children?
Marcia and Villarreal.
And sir, at this time, who do the children live with?
They reside with me here.
In what county, please?
Bexar County.
And sir, how long have you and the children been in Bexar County?
Since 2015.
And right this second, sir, you are currently the person ordered to pay both child support and medical support to Ms. Villarreal?
Yes, ma'am.
And that order was the one in 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that an accurate description of the issues we're before the court to have it decide today?
Yes. Oh, they lived with me their whole life. But me and Marcia separated in April of 2016.
And so, sir, even though that's what you're saying now, the children lived with you their whole lives, you were still ordered to pay support back in February of 2012?
Yes, because my son, Mike Jake, was not on my...
Hey, sir, here's the deal. You don't have to explain why it happened. It's part of the court order. So there's,
Yes.
it's carved in stone now. That thing is 11 years old. So, okay, just that it was
Yes.
done. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. And is it correct that you had submitted some documentation for the court to show where the children currently are and where they have been?
Yes, I emailed Belinda Morales, and those are the documents I have right now. My wife went to go get the letter that me and Marcia Vero notarized in order for them to register them into Winston Elementary back in February 5th of 2017.
And Mr. Hernandez, I don't know if you had a chance to check your email before this hearing began, but one thing that was submitted was a letter dated April of 2023 regarding your children being in Bexar County. Do you recall that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recall submitting a document regarding an affidavit of direct possession indicating how long the children had been in your household?
My wife actually submitted that. She did mention about submitting the paperwork like that. But I never actually saw it myself.
Okay. And sir, under that 2012 order, you were ordered to pay the child support and medical support through the state's disbursement unit. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, sir, looking at that payment record, and Your Honor, at this point, the state offers in evidence States Exhibit 1, the financial activity report.
Mhm.
It's back at the very back. All right, folks, this is State Exhibit number 1. This shows what monies have been paid or should have been paid through the state disbursement unit in this case. Is there any legal reason, sir, I should not allow this in evidence and review it?
No.
Ms. Villarreal, any objection, ma'am?
No.
All right, State 1's admitted. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hernandez, that document shows that as of yesterday, you owed $67,541.94 in child support. Does that sound correct to you, sir?
Yes.
And sir, how exactly do your children have health coverage at this time?
My wife applied for Medicare, and she has them on Medicare.
How long has she been the person covering them?
Since about 5 years, since 2017.
And sir, do you recall what the coverage was for the boys back in 2012?
2012, it was Medicare.
And sir, why is it that the children were only put on your wife's Medicaid back in 2012? Or sorry, 2017?
Because my wife applied with my other 2 children that live with us. She put us all together, or put them all together as a family.
And sir, you had mentioned a notarized document between you and Miss Villarreal. What year was that document notarized?
2017.
And so, sir, was there a reason that after your separation in 2016, it took that long for some documentation or written agreement between the 2 of you to be done regarding your children?
They were living with Marcia. They were living with Marcia at her mother's from the time we separated till February 5th.
And sir, is it fair to say that your request for the court today is that you be named the person able to decide where the children live and are no longer obligated to pay support to Miss Villarreal, who would then be paying support to you?
Yes.
How many other minor children do you have, sir?
8.
How many of those children are in your household?
Besides Mike and Cruz, 3.
And for the remaining 5, sir, are you obligated to pay support for them?
Yes.
Will the oldest of those children turn 18 in the next 3 years or so?
No.
And sir, you understand that my colleague calculated support from you if the court decided to change where the children live, correct?
I'm sorry, my daughter will turn 18 within the next 2 years.
What is her exact birth date, sir?
It's October 20th, 2000. I'm sorry, she was born when I deployed, so I'm trying to remember. I get the dates mixed up. October 20th, 2008, maybe. She's 16 already.
Okay. And so she is the only one of your other minor children who would turn 18 in the next 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. And sir, given this number of other children, you understand that the state had calculated that if these 2 children, your sons, were ordered to go back to live with their mother, your support obligation would be $269 per month?
Yes.
Do you have any concerns, Mr. Hernandez, about being making decisions with Ms. Villarreal if necessary?
Yes.
What are those concerns?
There's just some disagreements about them being at her house with the vicious animal, and but that's pretty much it. I mean, other than that, she's okay.
And sir, back in 2012, you and she were named joint managing conservators of the boys, meaning you each had the same rights and duties with only a few specified for her. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And so, sir, would you have any problem if the court decided that you should be primary, naming you and the mother still joint managing conservators?
Mm, yes and no, because I want them to go to a grade A school. I want them to attend certain courses
Here,
and
here's go, sir. Here's go, sir. If you're to name the party with the right to decide domicile, you get to pick the you get to pick the school, sir.
oh yes, I would like to be the one to pick.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, do you and she, do either of you have any criminal convictions?
Yes. When I
Which
was
of you?
me when I was younger.
Okay.
Okay,
And
anything since the kids were born, sir, the two children in this case.
No.
Okay, then anything that happened before then is not relevant, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
and so no information about the mother's criminal history since the children were born?
No.
Earlier, sir, you mentioned your deployment during the birth of that daughter who's going to turn 18 in a few years. Did you separate from the military honorably?
Yes, I did.
And is some type of VA disability or military retirement being received as part of your resources?
No.
What has the visitation schedule looked like for Miss Villarreal since the children have been with you?
It's open. She could visit whenever. We just asked that she let us know a week or two ahead. So that way we can make sure we don't have anything planned. But she's open to visit them anytime or to come over or for them to go over there.
And sir, what is the current distance between your two residences?
Um, if she still lives in the same place, it should be 10 to 15 miles.
Okay, so is it fair to say, sir, that you are each Bexar County residents?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, sir, you wanted the court to consider going forward?
There are, when we contacted child support a couple of years ago to try to get the order changed, some of the arrears was taken out from our checking account, and we had asked child support if they could put it on hold, which they were supposed to, and then they still sent it out to Marcy. But child support didn't know how it happened because it was supposed to be on hold. We just asked if that could be put in her arrears.
No, sir, it cannot.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, that's a little bit of too much of a U-turn, sir. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. I pass this witness.
All right, sir, I'll be right back. I'll be back to you in a few minutes. Call your next witness, please.
The state calls Miss Villarreal. Ma'am, what is your full name?
Marcia Villarreal.
How are you related to the two children in this case?
I am their mother.
And ma'am, is it correct that you were the person who was ordered to receive child support back in 2012?
Yes.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court?
Yes.
Were you also able to hear Mr. Hernandez's testimony?
Yes.
Would you agree, ma'am, that your children do not currently live with you?
I do agree. Yes.
When did that start?
I know it was sometime in 2017. I don't remember the exact month, but I know it was in 2017.
Do you recall what time of year as far as seasons or anything like that?
I want to say it was probably after New Year's because I had my daughter in March of 2017.
And at that point, ma'am, were you in agreement with your children going to live with their father?
No.
How is it that they went to go live with him?
He offered to take the kids for a week to since I was about to give birth to my daughter, to help me out in that way, which I agreed would be for a week. But then we had talked about withdrawing them from school because he said it was a hassle driving where I lived to take them to school and pick them up. So I allowed him to do that, to move schools to be easier for him. But I don't remember signing any notarized document about that.
And then, ma'am, when did you next attempt to get your boys back?
I tried, well, I didn't know where to go or how to proceed from getting them back. And I didn't want to call the cops on him or anything like that.
And so, ma'am, when did you start visiting the boys after they had been withdrawn from their first school?
They would come with me very often. I would see them like on the weekends. He would let me see them. It just started, I guess I say a couple of years back, where I wasn't really able to see them. Because every time I would ask, it would always be a no, or we'll see. I have things to do.
Okay, ma'am, here's the deal, ma'am, here's the deal. Why didn't you just keep them? You had a court order.
I didn't know that I could because I thought it was a joint custody thing to where we would both have them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I did not know where to go from there. I'm sorry.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, when you say a few years back, do you mean 2021, since we're in 2023 now, that the visitation became difficult?
I would say, let's see when. Probably about 2020, 2021. It's when the visitations became difficult.
And can you recall, ma'am, whether any of that was due to the pandemic and it being in full swing at that point?
No.
Has there been any change to that difficult drop-off based on what Mr. Hernandez just testified to?
No, there hasn't been no change.
And so, ma'am, when is the last time you had your boys in person?
The last time was probably before school shopping. They asked for me to buy the kids' school clothes and shoes, which I did. And when I took them to pick up shoes or to get shoes, my son was being difficult about which ones he wanted. So then I told him if we couldn't find anything this weekend, I could pick him up next weekend to see if we could find anything. And when I mentioned that, his girlfriend had said no.
And ma'am, would that have been in August or July or even September of
Probably,
2023?
I would say July.
And so, ma'am, had you all discussed the holidays at all, or including electronic communication since in-person wasn't happening?
I just know every holiday wasn't. I mean, I would ask, but it would have been a no.
How did you ask?
I would ask if they had plans and if I could see them, for at least Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but they always have something to do.
And was all of this verbal, or were some of these requests written?
Mostly verbal.
Would you agree, ma'am, that the distance between your households is roughly 15 miles?
Yes.
And when exactly is the last time, ma'am, that anybody lived in Bell County?
That was a long time ago. I think we moved out of there after I want to say after my son was born.
Okay. So before the time you mentioned visitation getting difficult?
Yes.
At this time, ma'am, do you have any coverage for health or dental for your boys?
No, not at the moment.
Do you have any other children besides your son and daughter that you've already mentioned, and these two?
I do have two other that don't live with me. They live with their father, which was agreed on in a divorce.
And are either of those children going to turn 18 in the next 3 years or so?
Yes.
Okay. May I please get a birth date for either or both of those children?
Uh, January 14th of 2007, and then May 13th of 2008.
And ma'am, would you agree that my colleague got information about, from you to calculate support if the court decides the children should remain with Mr. Hernandez?
Yes.
And so based on the children currently having coverage for government medical through Mr. Hernandez's spouse, cash medical would be $63 and child support would be $483 per month.
Okay.
Would you agree, ma'am, that you and Mr. Hernandez should still be named joint managing conservators of the children as you were back in 2012?
Yes.
And that if this court set specific visitation for one or both of you, you could communicate well enough to ensure that the order was complied with?
I hope so. Yes.
Was there anything else, ma'am, you were wanting the court to consider at this time?
No.
And ma'am, as far as the arrears that were owed on the case, would you agree that the time that the boys have been, well, that since 2017 anyway, when you first allowed the boys to stay, Mr. Hernandez should get a credit against the $67,541.94 in arrears the state shows him as owing?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, then, anything on, as far as recalling Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Mongat?
Just briefly, Your Honor.
All right, go right ahead. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hernandez, do you recall, or were you able to hear Ms. Villarreal's testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall the circumstances of how the boys came to live?
Yes,
How the
ma'am.
boys came, sorry about that.
I heard,
Was there any discussion, sir, about the reason for the children being withdrawn from one school and moved to another?
yes, ma'am.
Why is that, sir?
Because they're gonna live with me. We wouldn't withdraw them if they were just gonna stay with me for a week. That wouldn't make sense. But I had to get a letter notarized in order for me to enroll them into their new school because I'm not on Mike Hernandez's birth certificate. But Cruz Hernandez, I was able to enroll him without that letter, and that they're gonna live with me, but it wasn't gonna be for a week, and Marcy did spend time with them throughout. She would help me. She used to help me a lot before. She used to stay at my house in 2019 during the summer. I used to go to work for a month or two, and she used to stay at my house, or vice versa. The kids will stay with her. But she never asked for them to come back to live with her or anything like that. She started a new life, so it was pretty much it with between her and the boys.
And Mr. Hernandez, do you know anything about the school shopping trip that occurred this past July?
Yes. She took them to get shoes for the kids. We were low on funds, and we had asked her to get shoes for them, but she wanted to take them shopping the next school weekend. But the thing is, my kids were already starting school since they go to Great Hearts. They start early, so she couldn't take them the next weekend to go school shopping because they needed the school shoes before they started. So that's why. And I think we had plans. We had plans for that weekend too. I think it was my grandfather who had cancer. I think it was his reunion, and we were gonna go to that before he passed away, which he already passed away.
Mr. Hernandez, did any of the children's schools require a copy of the orders that were in place?
No, just No, they didn't require any of that.
Because you mentioned you not being on the birth certificate for one of your children,
Yes.
Mike. However, that order clearly named you as a father or confirmed that you were the father.
Yes.
How, sir, do you and the mother communicate right now?
Text message?
And is that the only way, sir?
No, normally it's through text message, but if it's a last minute thing like the day before a holiday, she'll call me and ask me if she could visit the kids or pick them up. But usually we're not here, or we have plans already. And that's why we just ask for a week in advance to schedule something with the kids.
And Mr. Hernandez, what have holidays looked like since the children have been with you? What time, if any, does Miss Villarreal get?
She doesn't. She hasn't called. It's barely. Before she would call, and then like on Thanksgiving, we could share times. Like, hey, your mom got this, and my mom usually does stuff in the afternoon. So it's usually like they go there first, and then back to me, or vice versa. But this past 2 years, um, she hasn't really been calling. We haven't really seen any messages. I think it was in 2021 when the communication kind of just died out.
And sir, do either of your children have their own phones?
Yes, they both do.
Do you know, sir, whether Miss Villarreal has the numbers to either of those phones?
Yes, she does.
And sir, you had mentioned that you'd ask her to give notice of a week or so in case you have plans. How was that request or requirement communicated?
Verbally. Yeah, text messages.
Was there anything else, sir, you wanted the court to consider?
No, that was it. It just she hasn't been coming around for the past year. So she used to help out a lot. She used to help take the kids to school. She used to help watch them when me and my wife were working constantly. But then one time there was a dog, a pit bull, and we asked that she not have the pit bull there while the kids were there, but she refused to remove the pit bull. So we just kind of like got in an argument, and then it just kind of faded from there.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, anything of the other witness at this time, Ms. Mongat?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Right ahead.
Ms. Villarreal, were you able to hear Mr. Hernandez's new testimony?
Yes.
Was there anything specific, ma'am, that you disagreed with as far as the details?
I mean, I would say no. I mean, no, I guess not.
And ma'am, at this time, is there a particular pet of yours that he objects to?
What do you mean?
That pit bull he mentioned, was that your pet?
It is our dog, and when the kids were here, he was inside of a kennel. He wasn't out roaming around. And I still do have that dog.
And ma'am, has that dog been yours since a puppy, or was it an older dog when you got it?
He's been here since a puppy.
And have there been any issues that were concerns for you, ma'am, based on him being around your other children or people in general?
No, I mean, he does tend to bark. All dogs bark, but other than that, no.
Anything else, ma'am, you wanted the court to consider that I haven't already asked you about?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, then at this time, I'm gonna allow the Ms. Villarreal to tell me anything else you think I need to know, and then I'm gonna go to Mr. Hernandez. Okay, Ms. Villarreal, anything else you think I need to know at this point, ma'am? This is gonna be a temporary order. I'm gonna give the kids a lawyer because I've heard some contradictory information, and I'm gonna give them a lawyer and get to the bottom of this, and we'll take that going forward. Thank you. But this time, is there anything else you think I need to know, ma'am?
No.
All right. Mr. Hernandez.
Yes, we had in 2019, 2020, she was using the boys' names for food stamps benefits. And and then again in 2021, I believe, she was using their names for food stamps, but they weren't living with her.
Here's the
So
deal, sir. She had legal custody. You didn't. So, you know, that was a court order. So that until I change that, that's that.
yes, sir.
All right. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
All right, Ms. Mongai, anything in closing, ma'am?
Your Honor, given the court's preliminary ruling that this will be temporary in the appointment of an ad litem, the state seeks to hold the confirmation of arrears in abeyance, stopping support if the court makes Mr. Hernandez temporary primary person, and depending on which parent you choose to pay support, I'll reiterate those support numbers then, Your Honor.
All right. All right, here what we're gonna do, folks. I'm gonna keep you both as joint manager conservators, with the right to decide domicile. I'm keeping that with myself, and for right now, I'm gonna leave them with Mr. Hernandez. But right now, sir, you don't get to decide where they live. I do. If there's a change of circumstance, you need to let the state know and the attorney representing the children know. I'm gonna go ahead and appoint Ms. Swartz as the ad litem in this matter because she lives closer to you than any other ad litem attorney I have. She's out of Austin, so if she has to go to San Antonio, she can go to San Antonio or Bexar County if you're not in San Antonio. Sorry, not everybody in Bexar County lives in San Antonio. Okay. Anyway, so at this time, I'm gonna leave it as is, but I'm gonna have her do this investigation. Here again, folks, the transfer of the children had to be voluntary. Right now, like I said, I'm gonna leave them with her, with you, sir, but I'm gonna give mom standard visitation. And here's the deal with standard visitation, sir. You are not allowed to make plans in violation of the mother's court order visitation, which are the first 35th weekends of the month. And I'm gonna keep it at the 6 p.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. on Sunday standard, Miss Bongat. Moms to pick up and drop the children off at dad's residence. And going forward, obviously, each of them get 1 week at Christmas, and that will be in the court order. But I'm gonna go ahead and order the standard visitation package going forward. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, appoint Ms. Swartz as the ad litem in this case, and have her do an investigation and find out what she's been able to find out. And then I'll probably need to set this for a special setting. So I'm gonna set it for a pre-trial about 6 to 8 weeks out, where we'll see how much longer she needs to come to her conclusions. And then I'm gonna set it for a final hearing special setting where you're the only case I hear. Because again, what the law is, there had to be a voluntary transfer. And if it was a voluntary transfer to the other party, and then the burden of proof falls on the mother and why I shouldn't change things around. If it wasn't a voluntary transfer, then the burden of proof falls on dad why I should change it around. So again, I'm gonna let that light finish her investigation and we'll figure this one out. So at this time, I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, name you both joint managing conservators, keep the right to decide domicile with the court. And I'm gonna see everybody back here on a pre-trial. You got anything showing Ms. Swartz is gonna be here in late January?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
She will be in this court on you said late January.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, mid to late. I need to give at least 30 days, which she's not in vacation mode, so holiday vacation mode.
Yes, Your Honor. We have her on both January 18th and January 25th.
All right, let's go ahead and it's a pre-trial, so let's go ahead and do it January 18th. At that time, I'll find out how much longer she's going to need and whether or not the parties have lawyers, and then I'll set that up for a final hearing and special setting after that date. So again, folks, I'm going to go ahead and set this up as a temporary order. I'll see I'm giving the children a lawyer, and I'll see everybody back here for the pre-trial on January 18th. Like I said, the person appointed to represent your kids his name is Elizabeth Swartz. I'm going to have the state confirm that it's okay with both of you that she give Ms. Swartz your phone numbers and addresses for the purposes of contacting you and to talk with her clients. And get everybody back here after the first of the year, where I can set this thing for a final hearing and get her report on what she's been able to find as far as the circumstances are concerned. So at this time, I'll start with you, Ms. Villarreal. I'm not ordering any child support. I'm going to hold in abeyance the binding on the arrears, and because again, that's all going to be affected by whether or not the transfer was voluntary or not. So at this time, Ms. Villarreal, any questions, ma'am, or anything else you're asking the court to do here today, ma'am?
No, I am currently pregnant at the moment, which a high risk pregnancy, which my child will be due sometime in February or March. I just don't want it to be, I guess, intervened during those times.
Okay.
Like to go to court, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm looking at, well, you can tell us,
Hospital.
you can tell us a little bit closer to the, we'll be a little bit closer to the due date when we come back in January, and we'll work around any medical circumstances, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
But is there any problem right now with you picking up your kids for your visitation packages?
No, I don't have any problem.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And ma'am, you could use a designated agent to pick them up, so long as the person's over 18 and has a driver's license, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, and I'm also going to order everybody to get App Close, the parenting app, as iTunes and Google Play. I want you both to use that to communicate going forward. And that way, if the ad litem needs to get a copy of your text messaging or anything under that, she'll be able to do it. So it's APPCLOSE. It's going to be in the court order. You both need to download it and register. And like I said, going forward, when y'all communicate to each other, use the chat function or the text message functions in App Close. And I'm not looking to do any FaceTime because y'all live close enough to each other, so I don't have to worry about that. All right. So Mr. Hernandez, question, sir.
No, sir. I have a son who doesn't want to see his mother. What do I do in that case?
You still, sir, I don't let kids tell me what to do. I'm a grown man and I'm a judge.
Sure.
Kids don't run these things. I do. And
Yes,
you tell him the judge says that that's his mother. He got it. And he doesn't get a say so in this. And he can talk. He has a lawyer. He can tell his lawyer this. But see, Ms. Sir, when I hear things like that, I think that you might have more of a hand in that than the child did. So again, I may be 100% wrong, but 90% of the time, that's the case. The parent has influenced the other child against the child against the other parent, and I'm not going to put up with that. Okay, but again, kids don't tell me what to do, and they sure as heck should tell you what to do, sir. Again, you're the parent. All right, so that's that. Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
And again, don't you'll get a copy of the order with the visitation package in it. Do not schedule anything on mom's visitation. Like I say, it's that first, third, and fifth Fridays of the month from 6 p.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. on Sunday, which in other words, this coming weekend is her weekend coming up. This is the first Friday of the month, okay? And no, it's not. It's the second one. Sorry about that. So it's the following weekend after that. And there's 1 week at Christmas, and I'm not sure if this is her year to get Christmas Day or the week or get New Year's Day as part of her package, but it's in there. Okay. All right. All right. Anything else, Ms. Bongat?
Yes, Your Honor. Can this order reflect that the children have government medical through Mr. Hernandez's spouse?
Yes, it can. And if y'all have any questions about the visitation package or you need a clarification, y'all could both ask the ad litem. Again, she doesn't represent you; she represents the boys. But she won't lie to you about what the circumstances are as far as the court order is concerned. But if you do want your own legal advice, you do need to seek your own legal counsel. All right.
Yes,
All right.
And then, Your Honor, with regard to Ms. Schwartz's appointment, given the children's ages, is she an amicus?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
That's all legal mumbo jumbo to say that she's their lawyer, but they can't tell her what to do as their client, as her clients. Okay, she gets to. They can tell her, but as her, she has her own free will to make a decision. Going, no, that's not in your best interest, and I'm not going to do it. So, okay. All right, folks. I'll see you back. I'll see you in January. Is it okay, Mr. Hernandez, that the state give the lawyer your contact information?
yes, sir.
Ms. Villarreal, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you both very much. And I'll see you in January. And y'all have a happy holiday, safe holiday. And well, I would say don't tell Santa not to overdo it, but there's no such thing. So there you go. Anyway, thank you both very much. And we're off the record.
You guys gotta go. You can't go with us.
All right, may the parties be excused, Ms. Bongata, do you need to take them back in a breakout room for anything?
No, Your Honor, parties are free to leave the meeting.
Y'all free to leave the meeting, folks. I'm finished writing this one up. Thank you.